morning. Yesterday I was working on cows. Today I'm still working on cows. I'll do about 10 or 15 cows. This is what they look like. And they kind of start out as just a doll. And yesterday actually, I sat and made a bag full of noses and horns. Fuzz everywhere with this yarn. So I figured I'd sit here and put a few together today. See what I can get accomplished in the next hour or so. So I just kind of pin them together first to kind of get things where I want them. Oops. That's the side with the eyes. And good morning. I'm still working on cows. Today I'm putting them together. So for the nostrils there, I actually use oval safety eyes. And because the safety eyes are so small and the yarn is so big, I do like to put some interfacing behind it. I forgot my scissors. So I'll kind of a couple little squares of interfacing. Poke some holes in it, just so I can get the safety eyes through them a little bit easier. Move my camera so you can see. I'll kind of position my nose where I want it, decide where I want the nostrils. And then I'm going to flip it inside out so you can see where I have the nostrils. I'm going to flip it inside out. I'll do one at a time because I'll take my interfacing and I'll just pop it over top of my eye. Then I'll take my backing and I'll pop it over top of my eye. Whoops, I could grab the smaller ones. The bigger ones. And I don't know if any of you have actually bought safety eyes that didn't come with washers. I've actually gone to the hardware store and bought little round nylon washers that are little teeny tiny. I'll take them out here in a second and show you. And they slip over top. They don't clip. However, I don't usually clip my safety. I mean, that's clipped because that's obviously the washer that came with it. But then I will burn it down. So when I use the little flat nylon washers and you burn it down, press it down, it covers the opening so it kind of secures it so it can't flip through the hole and come back out or be pulled out. And I'll do the same thing for the other side, and I'll put my interfacing on. And this is how I like to do with the blanket yarn, just because it's I don't want them popping through. And then I put that on, and I burn it down so that the end's larger than the end of the safety washer. If you do that, you kind of have to wait until it dries or cools. Once it cools, your lighter will pop right back off. And then, of course, I take some glue and I put it underneath the interfacing. And then I know they're not coming off. And when I flip it back over, you can't even tell that the interfacing's there. You can't tell that the glue's there. You can't tell nothing's there. If somebody really wanted to, you could probably try to push it in, but you probably wouldn't be able to push it in because the interfacing is glued to it. You definitely are not going to be able to pull them out. But so then I'm just going to thread my needle and stitch this around my face and start putting this cowl together. I'm going to pin them a little bit. When I pin them, again, with this big material, this big yarn like this, I like to use bobby pins, just because I know the little ends of the pins tend to slide down into the large gaps between the stitches on the blanket yarn. So I use bobby pins to hold them on. And I just stitch them around. When I get almost to the end, I'll stick some stuffing in there. Stick another bobby pin in there to hold the top where I want it. Making sure he looks even from the top. I'll stitch my bottom. I don't want my bottom to come all the way down to the neck here. Not quite, because I'm going to tie the ribbon around it. with a little cowbell. And almost ready to stick some stuffing in it. I figure when I do stuff for the vendor events and the craft shows, I like to have like maybe 10 or 15 of each little thing, because I find that people tend to like to buy little things because they're cheap or less expensive. Some of my other stuff that I make a lot of wraps, like pretty lacy shawls, and bags, tote bags, messenger bags. I have some crossbody bags. My catch of the day drawstring bag is a pattern that I have on Etsy right now. I think I have it on Ravelry as well. I'm not 100% certain, but it's a fish bag. If you scroll through my profile and look at my videos there, you can, I have a video of me wearing one and showing you how it opens. They're all fully lined. My tote bags are fully lined. In my tote bags, I even line the straps, the handles. That way they're nice and sturdy. They will carry a lot of weight. I have some market bags. The market bags are cotton. They're not lined, but my husband and I have been able to put like 10 pounds of potatoes and 2 pounds of apples in them, and even more than that, so they're pretty heavy duty. They'll withstand a lot. My granny square tote bags. You could probably carry half a library's worth of books in them. Only, again, because I have the handles and the strapping that go over top. I have that lined as well, so everything's kind of attached to the lining, so nothing will stretch. The handles won't stretch, the bag won't stretch, and they're lined with denim, so they're meant to be used. I do use acrylic yarn for the granny square bags, and I use the denim, and I pre-wash my denim before I line it all. That way, like, if you wanted to take that tote bag that's meant to be used, you can just pitch it in the washer. You can pitch it in with a load of towels if you wanted. It would come out fine. So when I knot my when I'm finished stitching my piece on and I knot it, before I pull it through to the other side, I'm actually going to put just a little bit of glue underneath it. Just that tiny little bit of glue underneath it. Before I pull it through, and it'll kind of hold it in there, and then I'll just weave the rest of it around inside. And cut the tail off. Put my end back in there. So I have my snout, my cow nose. I do my eyes the same way. I put the interfacing underneath it. That way they can't be pulled out, since the stitching is the yarn's so thick that inadvertently the gaps in between the stitches end up thicker. So when you put the safety eyes on them, unless they're like super huge, you're still going to be able to pull them out. So I do put interfacing on before I put the washer on. And let's see here. Some horns in my bag. And my horns are just magic loops with 3 rows of 6 single crochet. And I think I'm going to tack my it's my cow. It's getting there. That was my dog. I think he needs to go out. He's just needy. Are you needy today? Are you a needy puppy? I know, you're not a puppy. Alright, let me let this beast out. I'll be right back. If you're outside, go. Look, you have food and water. Food and water. I don't know what else you want. He will sit here. Yeah, the dog. That dog. He will sit here and huff at me. I don't know if you can hear him through my earpiece or not, but he will sit here and huff at me the entire time. Doesn't want out. Doesn't want to eat. Doesn't care if his water bowl's filled. He just wants to sit here and huff at me. Charlie. Bubbers. Hey. Yeah, my crazy dog. It's a chocolate lab. And you are very needy, aren't you? I gave him some peanut butter this morning. I thought maybe that would like keep him quiet. Stuffed it inside in a soup bone. And like Kong style. Anybody has dogs and knows the Kong toys. And nope, he's still here harassing me. Alright, so I'm going to tack the ears on first. He wants that cow. That's funny because he won't play with toys. Will not play with toys. The interfacing for the eyes, I actually use a Pellon. It's 926, which is what I use to make my pyramid bags when I sew. So it's really kind of thick, and it's really, I like it, but it's the only Pellon that doesn't seem to have a backing on it to iron. So I do have to buy Wonder Web, but I just, when I take it, we usually just take like maybe an inch square, maybe a little bit smaller. You can see how big the eyes are. So then I would poke a hole in it. Just a small little hole in it. And then when I put my eyes in, I don't have one ready to be done, but when I put my eyes through the front, I flip it around the back. Here, let me show you on this. My bag of noses and horns. So I would take my eye and I would put it through my fabric wherever I wanted it, and then I would flip it outside, and then I put my interfacing on first, and kind of push it through. And then I would, and I'm not going to do that because this is not the one, but then I would put my washer over top of it. I would burn it. I don't know if you've seen anybody, they burn them down and press them to the washer. And then I take my fabric glue and I glue underneath here so it like really secures the fabric to the yarn. That way I know it's not going to be pulled through. And more than likely it's not going to be pushed through either because this is all glued around and it's attached to that. But that's how I do the eyes. And I found it works well. This is like the first, I know, I've been like doing this since I've been 10. This is the first time I've used the blanket yarn. Like my daughter's bought some of it, she loves it, so I thought, oh well, maybe I'll give it a try. So I did. I liked it. I made a bunch of the leggy frogs. I don't know if you've seen the leggy frogs on here floating around. It's a trend. So I did a bunch of the leggy frogs, and then I decided I was going to do teddy bears, and then I had done a commission for somebody that wanted a bag that was shaped like a cow. So it was basically the cow's body with arms and legs and udders, and then the head came down over top as the top of the bag. And I thought, boy, wouldn't it be cute to put a bell on it? Well, to order bells, I had to order a bag full of bells. So instead of making teddy bears, I decided I was going to make bells for cows. And I realized, oh my god, how cute, but these bells actually ring. So, and I won't be able to finish the cows that I do today because I still have to go buy more ribbon, but I'll have cows. Oh, just little things you pick up as you're doing them. Let me see where I put these ears. Right above the eyes. So I'm not going to really go all crazy about stitching the ears on because once I stitch the ears on, just to kind of hold them in the shape that I want them around the horns, I'll take a little bit of that fabric fusion glue and I put it up here and just a little bit down there, and it's just enough to hold it in place so that it's, I mean, they'll still curl, but they're not gonna, flop around. But I love gluing things. I have 5 kids. They are all grown at this point, but when you have that many kids, you're used to wanting to make things that are durable, so they're not going to fall apart when they fight over them, try to rip them out of each other's hands, when they end up in the washer with a load of towels. With the exception of my lacy wraps that I make, I do tell everybody, because it's handmade, it's probably a good idea to hand wash it and let it air dry just to be safe. I don't want anybody coming back to me saying, I washed this and it came apart. But I can almost guarantee you that just about everything, again with the exception of the lacy shawls, because I use different materials for that. Some of it's wool, some of it's silk. But I can almost guarantee you could probably throw this in with a load of towels and it would come out and look just the same. Because that's just how I like to make my things. I like to make them to last. And again, I'll just put a little bit of glue just under that knot. Before I weave my end in. I'll just take it back again through the back. But Yeah, I like to come on once a day during the week. It's my downtime. During the week, during the mornings, it's my downtime. Um, I work after hours, so I have the privilege of being able and sitting and doing this in the mornings when I get some alone time. So I figured, why not sit here and talk to people? I do my best. Yes, fabric glue. Fabric fusion. It's permanent fabric glue. Permanent, I know it's backwards. Permanent fabric adhesive. So even when you wash it, I've actually done test strips where I've made like swatches, and I tried different glues. I tried like multi-temp hot glue, Jewel It, the fabric glue, regular glue, Elmer's glue all. Like I put things on that swatch with everything, and I threw it in the dryer again with a load of towels. And actually, the Jewel It, the permanent fabric glue, and even the hot glue, even in the dryer, stayed on the best. Like there was no movement; they weren't coming off. But yeah, I'm kind of that crazy because I don't want my stuff to come apart. I would feel really bad if somebody paid me what I charge for it and it came apart. I would really feel bad. But I don't know. I like the little cows. It's coming together. The stitches here on. I get. I have this left. I have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I have 3 bodies done. I can probably, I weighed it yesterday. I can probably get another body and a half out of this. And I do have another one. So I figure 4.5 cows out of each one of these. If I have 2, then I get 9 cows. So I'll have 9 cows. And this will be more than enough, has been more than enough because I already did all the noses and all the horns. So that's what I have left over. I don't know what I'm going to make out of that. Maybe, I don't know, cats. Who knows? I'll find something to make. More crazy frogs. But something to do for the summer months. I don't do many vendor events, even though I have like this crap ton of inventory. I have like bins of inventory. But I did start doing one of the larger vendor events in our community. I live near a lake, so they do a lake festival, and I actually I moved to where we used to vacation near a campground, and my mom still has the property and still comes up with my dad, and my dad does watercolors. So my mother wanted him to come down and start doing the Lake Fest. So it started out, we got one tent, and we split the tent, coming along nicely, and we split the tent, and we figured one table for each of us would be enough. Well, let me tell you what, I have enough stuff that I could fill a shop. My tent's almost ridiculous. I have shawls and wraps hanging everywhere. I have stuff on tables. I fill maybe 3 tables plus everything that I have hanging. And my dad could probably fill a warehouse. He paints that much. That's, he retired and that's what he likes to do. So he sits and does watercolors. And they're from a city. So when he does galleries and shows and stuff like that down there, he has to have it framed. And he doesn't always frame everything that he does because he has so much of it. I mean, like stacks of watercolors that he's done. So he frames what they want to use for the show, and that's it. So he brings his stuff up here for the Lake Fest, and he just puts his unframed art on a table for people to flip through, and they'll throw him $20 for an unframed piece of watercolor. He makes a killing. We both actually do pretty good. He sells much more inventory than I do, but we probably do about the same. We definitely make our monies back from that one day show, or it's 2 days. It's a Saturday and a Sunday. Like the festival runs through Saturday and Sunday. So that's what I sit here and do. I sit here and do work on my inventory through the winter, through the spring. I was hoping to find some spring shows, but despite the fact that my stuff tends to be a little bit different, I'm usually told they have enough people that crochet. I have enough people that sew. We have enough people. We don't need any more people like you. That was the last comment I got. We don't need any more people like you. Like, okay, whatever. It would have been nice to make some money this spring, but I guess I'll just have to wait. You know, if we really use it, couldn't we all? Couldn't we all? Alright, horns. So, when I make my horns, it's just a magic loop with 6, and I do 6 single crochet, and I do 2 more rows with 2 more rows of single crochet, so it's like 3 rows of 6. And then because I like to use a magic loop, I do the same thing with my glue. My glue is my best friend. I take the tail and I put some glue down at the bottom where my magic ring is, and then I tuck the tail from the magic ring in there so it's like permanently glued to the top. It's my Huffy dog again. Now I'll just take my horns and see how to put them up. Use my bobby pins again. I like to use my bobby pins to secure everything with this big yarn. When I use like the smaller acrylic yarns, I do pin everything. But for this big yarn, I found that if I use a bobby pin, it pushes down into the stitches and it doesn't get lost. Like even the round heads of the pins will tend to get lost. Maybe I'll come up with this. So I do use the bobby pins to secure stuff on the bigger blanket yarn. And I'll just put a couple of stitches around this. I'm going to stitch it to the top of the ear as well. It's just not as easy to see the stitches with this yarn as it is with the other yarn that I've been used to. Like I said, this is the first year I've actually bought, and that's not true. I think maybe about a year ago or so, I bought a few skeins and I made a blanket and a matching teddy bear for my grandson. So I have used it before. I hadn't used it since. And when my daughter liked using it to make little stuffies, little plushies, and they looked so cute. She made this bunny. So cute. I thought, oh, maybe I'll try to use it again. Here's my other pin. My Huffy dog, I think he just wants to be an influencer. You know, he's definitely influencing me right now. Can you see? horn. I'll bring that back behind the ear to knot it. If I can find a loop. Here's a loop. To make my knots, I just pull it up once. Pull loop up twice. It's basically chaining two and pulling my ends through. Is how I knot my stuff. And then with the glue, I know the past couple times I put the glue on first, but usually if you put the glue on first, it gets stuck to the needle. So I will usually take it and weave it down just a little bit. And pull my needle out, and then when I have my loop that's almost in there, then I'll put my glue on so it pulls the loop down over top of the glue. And it doesn't get my needle. And then I will again take just a little dab of glue. But after I sew the other one on, I'll take a little bit of glue and I'll glue just like right up here to, just right in between here and just right in between here. And that way I know it's kind of going to stay in shape even when it's washed. But so far that's one horn, and I'm almost done with this cow. I'm going to stitch the other horn on, and yes, absolutely, my dog needs some anxiety medication. Absolutely. But, you know, just like people, when you tell somebody your dog has anxiety, they look at you like you're crazy. Well, hello, if I wasn't crazy, I wouldn't need help. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, what are you supposed to do about it? But he definitely needs some anxiety medication. He's, and he's been like that since we had him. No, where I live is cold right now. And, I just had my second hip replaced because I had crooked hips, too many kids, worked on my feet for a long time, but I had my second hip replaced about a month and a half ago. And I do it in the winter like I did the first one. So now in the spring, what I'll do is in the mornings, I'll start taking him out to walk. And we, walk around the block, walk around the park that's near us and hang out. And that does seem to help him with his anxiety. Helps me with mine. I know that. It's nice to get out of the house. Sometimes. It's nice to get out of the house by myself, I think. As you can see, I don't have a problem talking. I guess have a problem being social. Anybody else like that? You just kind of like, you don't mind, but you just can't bring yourself to go do it sometimes. I don't know. I guess we're all a little bit crazy. If we weren't all a little bit crazy, we'd all be the same. And if we were all the same, we'd all be really, really bored. And then that would probably make us crazy anyway. One great big circle. Whoever said another great tip, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. I've been doing this for a long time, and I found that there are just some things that make things a little bit easier. Like, I use the bobby pins as my stitch markers as well. I was using these bobby pins as stitch markers, and then I was out one day and found these bobby pins, which are much, much shorter. You can see much, much shorter. So I like these to pin things into. And when I'm using stitch markers to mark my round, I usually use the short ones because they don't get in the way as much. But, oh yeah, I'd much rather stay home. Absolutely. Absolutely. I stay home. I knit, I sew, do whatever. I do take a I do try to get myself out every once in a while. My husband works in the local town, so he usually stops at the grocery store anytime we need anything, so I don't really have to go to the grocery store. If we decide we need a Walmart run or something, a lot of times I'll go for that. Just because I know there's an aisle there with yarn and beads and thread. But other than that, I would much rather just sit at home and just knit and crochet and sew and do things like that. I will see one of the other things that I'm working on for my summer vendor events there is sewing, and they are marble mazes. I won't go into too much detail, but I will show you that this one went a little bit crooked, but it'll work. The marble mazes. Boy, I saw that on TikTok and it was amazing. It's just like this little rectangular piece of fabric. Oh, here's one. This is what I'm working for. I have my sewing project. And it's basically a piece of fabric. I fold mine in half and put a snap on it. And it's got a maze drawn on it. And inside it, it's not stitched closed yet, obviously. But inside it is a marble. So it's like one of those sensory things where you can just kind of sit and push the marble around. Which is pretty neat. I already had a few people say they have to have one of those, which, okay. I think I have about 40 of those I have to flip inside out later on tonight. And the marble mazes, yeah, I do like to use bobby pins for pinning. The marble mazes, I am going to give you hers because credit where credit's due. That's where I found the tutorial for the marble mazes. Thank you for the awesome content, or awesome comment there. I'm trying to read through my bifocals and look at everything I'm doing. It sucks to get old. But, almost done with this one. He's a little bit crooked here on the top, but thank you for the likes. Again, I'm just going to knot him. By doing my little chain thing there. I mean, you could actually just slip your crochet needle in there and chain two and pull your loop through. Would be the same as how I'm knotting it. Slide my needle down in there. Add my little drop of glue. Pull it the rest of the way through so it just kind of stays there. And then again, I'll tack a little bit of glue here and a little bit of glue here, right here, just so they kind of stay where they're supposed to be. And yeah, that's that cow. Too bad I don't have any ribbons. I could have another one totally done. Probably just make a Walmart run. It's the closest to me. I do have a couple Joann's, but they're about 30 or 40 miles away. So I tend to do Walmart. But so that'll be my cow. And when I get my ribbons, I will tie my ribbons with my little bells. I love those little bells. Oh, I know. I'd rather be old and live longer than not. But that's my, and that's the one I just did now. And yeah, I think it's time to take a break. I might be back on later. I don't know. I try to at least be on sometime in between 9 and 10 during the weekdays to at least finish or do something or chat or say hi. Thank you very much. I know my daughter walked past and said, I want that cow. And I went, I only have one. Maybe after I make some more. My husband walked by and said, ooh, can I have that cow? I'm like, really? So I'm sure half of my cows will end up being given away, which is fine. That's one of the reasons why I started doing vendor events, because I just like to sit and do this, and I have so much of it that my husband finally said, oh, thank you so much, Rosie Bory. Look for me again, please. Um, but I had so much inventory that my husband finally said, you cannot possibly give all this stuff away. Why don't you go sell it and make some money? At least you get the money back for the yarn, which is what I try to do. But I appreciate everybody that joined me this morning. Really appreciate it. My cows moo. And I'll see you guys either later on today or probably, oh, tomorrow Saturday. Oh, maybe Saturday morning I'll be on. If not, I'll be back definitely Monday morning. Can show you what I got accomplished. Thanks.